Welcome to everyone. In this week video you will learn how powerful and profitable the cycles are. And you will also learn how to use them to trade the gold market to increase your profits. This week video will cover the gold market for the week of August 26, 2024. Before we start, make sure you read carefully the disclaimer. The last gold update was on July 22nd. In this update, my preferred analysis was the last 20 weeks cycle low was on June 26. Let's see what's happened since that. Let's start by the 10-day cycle. The last 10-day cycle formed a low at 228.26 on August 22nd, and was right on time. As we can see on the chart, on August 22nd the gold market crossed below his 10-day cycle trend line. The blue line, confirming the 234.01 high, is the 10 and 20 days cycle peak. The next 10-day cycle is expected on August 31st. The trend for the 10-day cycle is down and the success rate is 90%. The 20 days cycle. As mentioned on the precedent cycle, the August 20th high at 234.01 is the 20 days cycle peak. On August 22nd, the gold market formed his 20 days cycle low. This 20 days cycle was 16 days long. On the Hurst nominal model, the 20 days cycle length is 17 days. After the 20 days cycle formation, I draw the 20 days cycle trend line from the August 6th to the August 22nd lows. This will help us to identify the next 40 days cycle peak. The next cycle low is scheduled for September 8th. At that time the gold market should cross below his cycle line, providing a potential downside target for the next 40 days cycle. The success rate is 70%, and the trend cycle is up. The 40 days cycle. Since the last major low on June 26th, the August 6th low was the first 40 days cycle low. The interaction with the cycle's lines was kind of messy. This happened because, during his correction, the gold market formed a triangle. Technically at that moment the gold market's supposed to find support on his cycle line. But because the sideway correction, we have two crossing point. But these crossings shouldn't be considered as valid signals, since they last only few days, but to be fair I include those signals in my statistic table for the success rate. Having said that, nothing changed where to place the next 40 days cycle low on August 6th. If the next 40 days have the same length than the previous one, the low is expected to form on September 16th. By the Hurst rule of synchronicity, this will also be the 80 days cycle low. The first cycle lasts 41 days, the average length for the 40 days on the Hurst nominal model is 34 days. After the 40 days low, I draw the 40 days cycle trend line, Hurst called that VTL. A crossing below this trend line will confirm the potential 80 days peak formation. After the 80 days peak confirmed, the gold market should cross below his cycle lines, providing a downside target for this second 40 days cycle low. Technically, the peak of this 40 days cycle should form on the left part of the cycle. The peak of the cycle is represented by the red dashed line. On August 20th at 234.01 is now the 40 days peak. If the gold market do not make a new high in the next few weeks, then this will also be the 80 days peak. If that's correct, then we can expect the gold market starting a correction very soon. We will know the correction is underway when the gold market will cross below his 20 days cycle line. The 80 days cycle. The last 80 days cycle low was on June 26th. This low had been confirmed by the gold market crossing his 80 days cycle trend line end of May this year. We have the same situation than the 40 days cycles. About the gold market price's interaction with his cycle lines, for the same reason. When the 80 days cycle peak will be confirmed, the gold market will be on his way to his first 80 days low since June 26th. This low should first find support on his cycle lines, which will be between 221 and 227. This low is scheduled for the September 3rd, the yellow zone. If the gold market crossed sharply below his cycle lines at that time, then we can expect a sharp correction for the next higher degree cycle. Since January this year, the success is 50% and the cycle trend is down. Let's see the roadmap for the next 80 days cycle. Just as reminder, the cycle line used on the roadmap is the 20-day cycle line. Since the last 80 days cycle was on June 26th, we are right there. Then, after the 80 days cycle peak formation, the gold ETF should cross below his cycle line, providing a downside target for the next 80 days cycle low, forming a first low around third week of August. Then rally toward his cycle line, using it as resistance, before heading down to September 3rd to form the 80 days cycle low, the 20 weeks cycle. For now, the best place to label the last 20 weeks cycle low is still the June 26th. Even if we can have a debate about the July 25th as a potential candidate, this will resolve by himself on the lower time frame. Assuming the June 26th is the last 20 weeks cycle, the next 20 weeks low is expected on November, the yellow zone. And the peak can be expected around end of August to beginning of September. We will pay attention where the peak will occur. The peak position will give us an idea of the next correction size. If the gold price peak occur on the left side of the peak cycle, which is expected on September 9th, then we can expect a sharp correction. If the price peak occur after the cycle peak, then we can expect a mild correction. If you want to know more about the peaks formation and their implication, I recommend to watch my series of video, Secrets Behind the Cycles. During the next low formation, the market should cross below his cycle line, providing a potential downside target, certainly at least to his 40-week cycle line. The success rate is 80% and the cycle trend is up for few more days. In conclusion, the gold market's still bullish, but we can expect the second 20 weeks and the 40-week cycle peak form soon, and start a correction for a low formation during the second week of November. If you like this video, please click on the like button and subscribe to make sure you don't miss any future important videos. This is the end of this week's video. Thank you for following me. Next week, I will publish another market update.